Flaky, golden, buttery. The croissant is the French breakfast icon. But here's the catch. It wasn't even born in France. That's right, the most French-looking pastry actually has foreign parents. And yet, today, it's as French as the Eiffel Tower or Edith Piaf. So how did this flaky crescent travel from Vienna to Paris and become a worldwide legend? Let's find out.
Our story begins in Austria, centuries ago, with a humble pastry called the Kipferl. Crescent-shaped, dense, and far from the delicate layers you'd expect today, it was more a rustic bite than a refined treat. Still, people loved it. Fast forward to the 18th century. An Austrian princess, Marie Antoinette, marries the French king Louis XVI. She misses home, and with her comes a taste of Austria, the Kipferl. At Versailles, it quickly intrigues the French court. But the French bakers, true to their reputation, weren't going to leave it untouched.
Here comes the magic of France, taking something good and making it spectacular. Bakers in Paris reimagined the Kipferl using puff pastry, layers upon layers of dough and butter. The result? The birth of the modern croissant, richer, flakier, infinitely more indulgent. By the 19th century, the streets of Paris were filled with bakeries showcasing their buttery creations. Imagine walking past in the early morning, warm croissants coming out of the oven, the smell of caramelized butter floating through the air. It wasn't just breakfast, it was seduction, in pastry form. But the croissant wasn't the only star to rise. Alongside it came the pain au chocolat, or chocolatine, if you want to start a heated debate in France. One bite of its soft layers wrapped around melted chocolate, and you'll forget who's right anyway. Then there's the brioche, golden, eggy, so rich it practically glows, light as a cloud, sweet as a kiss, and proof that bread can also be dessert. Together, these pastries created a new French ritual, the Viennoiserie breakfast, a ritual of butter, flour, and joy that replaced plain bread and gave mornings their indulgent sparkle. Who would ever pick a bowl of cornflakes over that?
Today, Viennoiserie has conquered the globe, but not always in the way you'd expect. In London, chefs turn them into haute couture pastries, layered with exotic fillings. In Seoul, croissants are glazed, stuffed, and twisted into shapes Marie Antoinette wouldn't even recognize. In California, foodies queue for hybrids like the Croissant. And yet, despite all these reinventions, nothing compares to stepping into a small French boulangerie, watching trays of golden croissants slide out of the oven and biting into one while it's still warm. The crunch, the melting butter, the flakes falling on your shirt. That moment is pure France.
So yes, the croissant may have been born in Vienna, but it grew up in France, and that's what makes it unique. A foreign idea, elevated into a national treasure. That's the power of French gastronomy, to transform food into culture and simple ingredients into memories, from soil to soul. That's the true taste of France. And if this story made you hungry, don't worry, you're not the only one. Subscribe and join me next week for another delicious journey into French heritage. This time, diving into the golden sweetness of French honey. I'll see you there, my foodies.